Hello there, everyone. How are you today? Make sure we're all good and ready to go. Welcome to Coffee Time Career Chat. And I know you're like, wait, is that Patricia live on a Wednesday? Yes, it is. I gave you recorded on Monday because of the holiday. But today I decided, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do this one live, like real live. So if you have questions or things that come up, drop them in the chat and I will try to address them as we go along. Otherwise, I'll follow back up like I normally do. So if this is your first time joining us for Coffee Chat, hello, welcome. My name's Patricia Hayes. I'm an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And all that means is that I am fully dedicated to helping you, particularly women who are professionals in their industry and business entrepreneurs, business owners who are looking to up level in their careers, making sure that they do so successfully in a way that's very empowered, even in a tough transition, and making sure that you're fully utilizing the professional network that you have because it's so important to making the leaps and bounds that you want to in your goals. So that's who I am. It's what I do. And today we are going to dip into our conversation about transitions that we started this month, but we're going to take it and focus it on networking. So this is going to be part one, and in a couple of weeks we'll do part two on this networking through transitions, because I think it is important and there are some unique pieces, right? So the Monday series has really been focused on transitioning, mindset related things and how you approach it so that you don't hurt yourself in the process. And these two are going to be specifically focused on the networking aspects that are important to you through a career or professional transition, whatever it may be. So that said, the first thing that I literally have to say and remind us all of, look, we know it's tough, right? If you're going through a transition, whether it's one that's really good and it's one that you initiated because you're trying to change jobs or you're wanting to get to the next level in something, or maybe it came, quote, easy, there's still some networking pieces to it that you will need to engage in. But for most people in the midst of a career transition, it is not that easy, thing. There are some lots of ups and downs. There's some pitfalls that they face. And there are some moments where you're just like, why am I being bothered with this? I'm over it, right? And so I'm just here to let you know that all of that is okay. It is to be expected. And that's when I tell you to go do one of those woosah moments. For me, that means, taking a bubble bath in the middle of the day, or maybe you go for a walk. You do something not related to your transition efforts. That's really the best way to start, is go take a walk, listen to some music. If you have a hobby, go engage in it. It's one of those things I tell all of my clients to do, is if you have a hobby, this is the time to solidify it and dig all in. If you don't have one, you're going to find one right now, because you really do need it in order to make it through what's about to start happening, and so that you have an outlet. That's really what it's all about, that you have an outlet to go pursue that's unrelated to your transition efforts, your job search, your business development, whatever may be the case. Okay, so that's always a thing. It can be tough, and it's going to be okay. And get you a hobby. Have an outlet. That's really the point. Have an outlet for you to use. Now, that said, the other piece of this is there are going to be some things that you have to do that you may be very uncomfortable doing. And as I always tell you, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Bottom line, there are going to be things that come up that you've never done before. There are going to be things that you're just going to be like, ooh. And, let's distinguish the ew as in nasty, icky from the ew just uncomfortable, right? Nasty, icky, well, let's dig a little deeper and like, is this something, an activity or something that you really want to engage in? Because maybe doesn't feel aligned. We don't want to do that. But if the ew feeling is really just about, oh my gosh, it makes you nervous, it makes you a little scared, you're like, whatever, that's not bad. That is good. That is normal. And we can move past that. We can dig into that, move past it, because it's still activity and actions that you need to take. Okay. So that's a little precursor on some of the things that are going to be important as you work through networking in the midst of a transition. Now, here's the other thing is remember my baseline about networking. It is about real relationship building. Okay. We do this authentically, genuinely, none of that nasty, sleazy stuff. We do not engage in nasty, sleazy, slimy, what can I get from you? What can you give me type of mindset. This is very much a give and a give and receive type of mindset that we work from, because guess what? It means you will be able to maintain these relationships much longer, long after you've made the current transition that you have. And here's the thing, when you do some of this, it gets easier as you go along. And guess what? You have a new set of resources of people to reach out to when you go to your next level transition, because there will be another one. All right. So remember, this is a long-term game. This is not just short-term. Those people who only play for the short term feed into the scarcity mindset and get into the, oh, well, they're not going to really give me anything, so let me leave them alone. Like, this is not going to be for you, because that is not how I teach. That's not how we operate. It's not aligned. So had to put that out there and remind people as well. Okay. So here are the 3 points I want to make sure we get to today in talking about this networking through your transition, which is the first thing, you have to be willing to get outside of the box. What do I mean? Exactly that. Get outside of your comfort zone. This is where you think about those people, those activities, those things that you were like, oh, it'd be nice to, but, or that you're like, I don't know if I can do that, but this is the time to do the things that follow the but. Right? Whatever's in that blank that you have not been doing, this is the time to do it. All right? Because when you are working through trying to get to the next level of who you are, who you want to be, the goals that you're achieving, this is the time to push the envelope. This is the time to really to do that extra little reach. And it means you may have to do some things that you haven't considered before, or that you've considered and ignored or blown off. It's not, you don't have time to blow those things off anymore. So if there's someone that you've had on the list, it's like, well, it would be really nice if I could meet that person. Guess what? It is now on your list of things to do to work through how you can interact and facilitate a conversation, a meeting, or whatever with that person. If you have been saying that you wanted to join a certain group or association or whatever, which I highly recommend for anyone who's in transition, is to go join a professional association, a group, whatever it may be, because it's the easiest way to get exposed to new people in a group setting that's really kind of contained, but that can bring you some fresh insights, some new people, and some things to pursue. Okay, but this is a time to do it. Don't use the excuses of, oh, but that fee for that membership. Do you really want to move forward in this career transition or not? Because if you do, then it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you some dollars, probably, right? Ultimately, it's probably going to cost you a few friends, Because as we transition, there are people who are not going to be comfortable with you up leveling, which we're going to talk about in just a second. You can't let that stop you. Okay. So be willing to make the investments. We'll talk about that. Um, but make sure that you are doing the reflection work. Keep your handy dandy journal. I know I'm a broken record on that, but make sure you're keeping track of those things, those people that you have been putting off engaging with. And this is the time to do it. All right. So, number one, get outside the box, start pushing yourself to be more uncomfortable in certain things and do the thing. All right. The second thing that I have is that you have to level up. And I referenced it just a little bit. We're going to spend a little more time here. When you are ready to make a transition, the relationships you have in place are going to be crucial, because some of them are going to be the ones that are going to help you get to the next level of what it is you want to do, to achieve those goals, to get the new position, to start the business, all of the things, right? To take control over the big project that's coming your way, okay? To submit the application for that huge grant, that's going to make a big difference in your career or your business, all of these things. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to level up. What do I mean by that? Well, you're going to have to make some sacrifices, right? And what are those sacrifices going to look like? They're going to require investment of time, investment of money, or both. And this is one of those things that's really difficult for people, because normally there's one or the other they don't want to do. If you dip into your pocket and if something's going to require some money, that's one of the first and easiest ways for people to like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's not, and make some excuse. But here's the thing. If you really, really are looking to transition and to move from where you are today, then it's going to require a financial investment of some time. In what way? Additional training, private coaching. Maybe it's going to involve some travel to go explore some new opportunities. Like, it's gonna cost you some money. So instead of trying to fight it and make excuses about it, just acknowledge it. And really the question starts becoming, how much, right? How much do I think it's going to cost me to do some of the things that I've identified or, previously? And if I'm really going to do it, if I'm going to attend this 2 or 3 day professional development conference out of state, how much is that really going to cost me? Probably at least $2,500, maybe a little bit more if you have to fly. You got to pay the registration fees, you got to pay hotel fees, all of these things. This does not mean that you don't do these things, but let's be realistic about identifying the cost to what it is you're trying to do. If you know you need to make a significant transition and you can no longer do the things that need to be done by yourself, that means you're going to have to pay someone to help you do it, right? So let's just use the example of hiring a coach, right? I've had people who come to me. Sometimes the first thing, other times it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I should have come sooner. But it's realizing that they can't get to the next level of where they want to be in their transition without some professional assistance, without someone who's there to mentor them through key pieces of the transition, to provide an objective viewpoint on some of the actions that they want to take, or to be, for them to hold themselves accountable to. There's value in all of those things. And having someone on your side, but who's going to push you to achieve the goals you say that you want to achieve for yourself. All right. It's going to cost you money, though. It's also going to cost you some time. And that's another one of those things that's really funny because sometimes people are like, I don't have time for that. You have to make time for the things that are going to help you get to the next level. It's just the reality of it. If you don't make time, it's not going to happen. Bottom line, it's an investment. So, are you going to make the time to regularly connect with the people in your network, with the people in your relationship circles, so that you can talk about what options are out there, so that you can get the inside scoop on some things, so that you can meet some new people who are where you want to go and where you want to be? All of those things require time. It's an investment. And I'm not going to belabor those points here because y'all can go check any of my other content. And I am always talking about networking and the professional relationship building and the efforts that it takes and how it can be done in minutes per day, or dedicated. Y'all know it's Wednesday. I have Networking Wednesday, and I'm going to be following up on some of the things that I've been doing already this week and that I need to finish doing in order to connect and reconnect with people in my network, to move projects forward, to get new clients, to build on existing relationships. It requires time and effort. This requires you to level up. If you want to be a VP of whatever, if you want to own your own business, you cannot do it at the level that you are currently. It requires some level of sacrifice in order to move up, in order to get exposed to those people that you need and want. And it requires effort. Okay. So I could talk all day about this piece, but we're gonna move on. So that's the second thing. The third thing is I've labeled as mastermind your way out. And this is super important. This is a really valuable strategy I've utilized myself personally years ago, and that has been helpful to clients as I work with them. And that, I'm going to be doing this workshop on again, probably in the new year. And that is for you to identify key people in your professional circles that you trust to be able to go to for advice, to bounce ideas off of, all of that. They do not have to be in the same industry as you. They do not have to work at the same company as you. It's probably better if they don't. But what you're doing is you're identifying a group of people, 4 or 5, maybe 6, and you don't have to meet up with them all at once, right? That's not about it. This is about you identifying this group of people that you can go have regular conversations with about your transition, who will provide some insight that's helpful, or that will tell you the truth and not just tell you what you want to hear. And let me tell you the value here is when I've utilized this, and I'm thinking about one major transition when I was looking to move on from one space to another. And sometimes, especially if your transition is tough and it's been full of lots of negatives, you will be amazed at what you will learn from people who are looking out for your best interests and what they really think about you and what you can do. In that they will be like, yeah, I've been wondering why you're still sticking with that. Or do you know the opportunities that you can pursue with the experience you have now? Like, these were real words that were shared with me, but they might not have done that if I hadn't asked. You have to be willing to put ego aside and identify who you can connect with and reach out to. And I'm happy to talk about that. That's one of those things that I get into the details again with my own clients, of helping them to identify some of those people, those opportunities that they can utilize long after they've stopped working with me, right? But identifying who those people are, what they can do for you. in terms of providing you valuable insight, some mentorship. Another way to do it is to join an actual mastermind. Again, this is going to require an investment of both time and money. Okay. I've done this as well. I have one I'm involved in now. And it's the point of joining up for me with other professional women in business to bounce ideas off of, to have conversations about the ups and downs we're facing right now, and to get some fresh insights. If you have a project or idea, I can take it to this group, bounce it off of them, know that I can get some solid feedback without judgment, and that it's in a safe space, right? So when you're paying for that type of experience, you get to be picky because you're going to be sharing some valuable information, insights. You're going to need to be a little vulnerable if you really want it to pay off and be worth your while. All right. So when you're doing that, if you're going to be joining a mastermind type of thing, then do the interview process just like you would be interviewing someone for services that you're going to be working with. Okay. It's going to be really important to be a part of that and to do that. Happy to have a offline conversation with people if you're looking to join a mastermind, particularly if you are a small business person. I have the recommendation for one that I'm in now that I love to death. So happy to share more about that. Okay. So mastermind your way out. Identify those people that you can go to. Who are some of those people? What they can be? They can be maybe an old boss. They can be an old colleague that you have a really solid relationship with. Or it could be someone, I always say, who was part of your fan club, right? Someone who's always cheering you on from the sidelines. And you're like, man, why are they so invested in me? Well, guess what? That's a good thing. And you go talk to that person like, hey, do you have time for coffee? I'd love to get your input on some things, right? I'm trying to make some moves and I'd love to get your input. Okay. These are the types of calls I get all the time, right? Unexpectedly, I'm always open to them. And then, because this is what I do for a living as well, if I feel like it crosses into like, okay, now we're getting into some advice that would be services, then I will let you know. But people that I've worked with, that I've, who are like, hey, I'm sending this person to you because they need some insights. I work through that because all of that feeds into supporting your professional network, giving back to them as they give to you. All right. You got to keep that two-way street going. This is not the time to assume what can I get? What are you going to give me mindset? That will do way more damage than good. And you may say, well, what do I have to offer someone? I'm trying to get out of where I am. It could be, keeping up with some information that that someone may know. So if you read an article, sharing it with them, connecting people as you come across, you're like, hey, I know someone that may be helpful to you. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. Right. And if you're working through, well, I haven't been good and consistent with connecting with my network. I have a 30-day consistency challenge that will take care of all of that. It is low fee. It is very targeted. 4 weeks of activities to get you on track to build those relationships, and that will feed your funnel for months to come. Trust me on this. Okay. So you can check that out in a link in my bio on any of the platforms. It's called the 30-day networking consistency challenge, and I highly recommend it for even if you're not in transition, for anyone, but specifically if you're in transition, this is the way to nail down reconnecting with your people in a very real, very trackable way that will pay off for you, because most professional transitions these days are lasting at least 6 months. I've been working with clients, I'm looking and I'm watching. It's at least 6 months at higher levels. If you're looking at a job or career that's in that six-figure level and beyond, if you're looking at really launching or relaunching some great project or business, which is definitely going to be longer. So you have time to do, some focused 30-day networking efforts in order to grow you along this process, right? So I highly recommend it. My clients utilize a lot of the strategies that I teach in that challenge. And so, and it works. It just does. So here's the thing. All right. So here's what we've talked about. If you're networking through a transition, don't freak out. Know that all the things, all the feels you have, like they're all normal. Don't let them drive the process, right? Acknowledge them. Make sure you have an outlet because it's going to get intense. So make sure you have a hobby, that you're doing some things for fun that are unrelated to your transition, and be willing to be uncomfortable. And when you get that foundation set on those things, make sure you're willing to get outside the box, challenge yourself on the regular basis. If you're saying, oh, but I can't because, ask yourself why. Hold yourself accountable. Okay. The second thing is you have to be willing to level up. That means you're going to be needing to make some serious investments of probably time and money in getting the support you need and reaching out and connecting with people. It's going to cost you something. Okay. And thirdly, mastermind your way out. Get the input from that a really core group of people that you can get some honest and solid feedback from along the way, knowing that, again, this is the long game we're playing, not the short game. Okay. So there we are, networking through a transition, part 1. I look forward to sharing in a couple of weeks part 2 of that. And we'll talk about some of the maybe more specific strategies about how the things to do and make it successful, to ease your stress, right? And so that you can make it, a powerful, purposeful experience for yourself, because that's what it really should be. When you're building solid relationships, it should be both powerful and purposeful. All right, there we are. As always, looking forward to getting your comments, to having you follow up. Let me know if you have any thoughts in the comments, or DM me, okay? And share. Hit that share button and share it with others in your professional circles. Take care, everyone. I'll talk again with you soon. Bye-bye.